Hello, my fellow project managers. Today we're going to take a look at the PMP exam 2026 new syllabus. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you today. My name's Phil Akinwale, and I've been a PMP for the past 20 years. This will be my 21st year this year. The PMP exam is a journey, and that journey is encapsulated in the PMP exam content outline, the PMBOK guide, 8th edition, and many other documentation that I will be going through with you today. This shows the summary of the PMP exam, 240 minutes, 180 questions, and there's a lot I need to break down for you. So let's jump straight in and let's traverse. Today, we've got a very ambitious task. Within a few minutes, we are going to talk about the question types on the new exam, the PMBOK 8, a little reminder about Agile and Scrum, and a whirlwind tour of the three domains of people, process, and business. People, 33% of the exam, process, 41%, and business, 26%. The exam has changed a little bit, as you can see from this extract from the PMP exam content outline. We have 170 scored questions, 10 preset questions, and a total of 180 questions to be answered in 240 minutes. Bright people in the class, how many hours is that? 4 hours, that's right. So the allotted time to complete the exam is 4 hours. It may take you less. For the PMP exam, there are 2 10-minute breaks. Please plan your breaks wisely and make sure you don't do what I did on my exam, blowing past time like it didn't exist. I could only get 20 questions done in my first hour. You definitely don't want that to happen to you. All right, there's the breakdown. People, 33% of the exam. You've got 8 tasks. Process, you've got 41% of the exam. The most ferocious, everyone cries about. And now PMI has thrown a curveball in there. For those of you who need to study more business, you got 26% of the exam. And I think it's a very worthy add up. To get it from 8% to 26 is very important. And that shows you the value in being business oriented. Taking a look at the question types, my friends, on the exam, we have a smattering of new questions. And just at a very quick glance, we have the foreboding case scenario, multi-paragraph scenarios followed by multiple questions. And this could include graphs and charts and visuals. Then we've got graphic-based. Candidate needs to interpret the charts, the graphs, the diagrams, or RTM tables, then answers questions. We have the good old multiple choice, single answer, multiple response, select all. And then we also have enhanced matching, point and click, and for those CBT only, matching pull down list. I'll give you a very quick visual of these so you understand. This is the case or scenario, and if we zoom in, you can see the sheer volume of text. So I know there was a lot of complaints on the previous exam that you thought the exam questions were long, and then that went away after 2021, 2022. But now you are going to have to face very big paragraphs and very quickly summarize what you've read and answer questions like this. So very short answers, but very long paragraphs. You're also going to get enhanced matching, as you can see here. You're going to match one part of the diagram to some of these movable boxes. As you can see here, where is the curve ahead of schedule? You got to look for your SV indicators or your AC and your PV. You got to know all that stuff, and you got to be able to interpret the graph. So this is not going to be a cakewalk, and this is why many people have been rushing to take the exam today. We also have the graphic-based question, as you can see, multiple choice, single response, multiple response, and point and click, as you can see on the screen. And then we also have the good old drag and drop. And these could be very tricky, especially when you're short of one box and you got to decide which one am I going to put in. It could be very tricky. You also have pull down list. So the major difference is you have 7 performance domains as opposed to 10 knowledge areas. You have 5 focus areas as opposed to the language we use, process groups. And you have 40 processes as opposed to 49. Governance is all about a framework within which authorities exercise at different levels. Scope is all about scoping out the project, just like a telescope analogy. Telescopes make things clearer, right? The schedule is all about time management. Finance is all about the money, the cash flow to run the project and to effectively manage the cost on the project. We have stakeholder management, resource management, and risk management. So the summary is some areas have gone away and others have remained. Quality has gone away, procurement has gone away, communications is rolled up into stakeholder, and we have integration now called governance. Taking a look here, you can see the table which breaks down the 40 processes into their focus areas and performance domains. And that is the lay of the land as far as PMBOK 8. PMBOK 8 also has now 6 guiding principles as opposed to 12 that were in PMBOK 7, adopting a holistic view, seeing the big picture, focusing on value, which is very important, embedding quality. PMI's language changed to be more value and benefit specific, being an accountable leader, building an empowered culture, and integrating sustainability. You're also going to be tested in the world of Agile. Don't forget, if you read the small print, the exam is now 60% Agile and hybrid and only 40% predictive. It's very different. So when you're approaching the questions, always think people over processes and tools, working product over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. Now, I know that this looks very simple, but a lot of people get these wrong. Also, the 12 principles in the Agile Manifesto is key. You can go on down to agilemanifesto.org and go through these, but at a very high level, I'll go through some of my favorites. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable product. That is number one. Everything rests on that. Also, I love continuous improvement, the Kaizen mindedness, number 12. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So those are big. So you also will be tested along the lines of Scrum. It is an important framework to know in the world of Agile. We have the 3-5-3 configuration, 3 roles, 5 events, and 3 artifacts. We have the artifacts, product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment. We have the 5 events, sprint planning, the sprint review, the sprint retrospective, the daily scrum, and the sprint itself. We also have optional backlog refinement. These are things you want to have at your fingertips. Understanding this will help you better understand the pragmatism of some of the Agile Manifesto. Also very important is the understanding of Kanban and how it works, the to-do, doing, done aspects of Kanban of the board, and how your Kanban board could be broken down further into sub-states. Progress limits, understanding the concept of flow, cycle time, lead time, throughput. This is language you got to know for the exam. Again, the exam is broken down into 3 pieces: people, process, and business. People, 33%. And in people, we have 8 tasks. Let's cover them one by one. Number 1, you got to develop a common vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. So you got to understand, why are we here? What is this project about? You get that from your sponsor, from your stakeholders, and you make sure that tapers into the project charter. Next, we have manage conflicts. The Thomas Kalman conflict mode instrument of avoid a conflict, reconcile, compromise or reconcile, force or direct, collaborate, problem solve, all that stuff, you're going to get that again. Number 3, lead the project team. My mentor, John Maxwell, would say the true measure of leadership is influence. And you as a project manager, you will be tested to the limit on influence. So you got to understand what your role is from an agile and hybrid perspective and from a predictive perspective. Number 4 is engage stakeholders. You got to build that trust and involve stakeholders in the journey. Number 5 is align stakeholder expectations. Get everyone headed in the right direction. And number 6, manage stakeholder expectations. It's one thing to align the expectations, but that's not the end. You got to keep the expectations realistic. Number 7 is to help ensure knowledge transfer, tacit knowledge, explicit knowledge, lessons learned, retrospectives. It all lives here. Remember, this is a hybrid and agile as well as predictive exam. Number 8, plan and manage communication. Big one. The project manager spends 70 to 90% of the time doing this. And that is the very first domain: people. Vision, conflicts, leadership, stakeholders, knowledge, and communications. As you can see, Our highest priority is really to satisfy the customer. Domain 2, the one people cry about the most on today's exam. This is the process domain. Let's jump straight in. The process domain has 10 things you need to know. Let me break them down for you very simply. Number 1, integrate your plan. Make sure schedule, scope, and cost and everything else is talking to everything else. Whether you're in the world of Agile or hybrid or predictive, it makes no difference. Even in the world of Agile, we have our scope, flexible, we have a fixed time box. So understanding the mindedness of integration is still important on this exam. Number 2, you got to develop and manage that scope. We've talked about this, the telescope analogy. Make sure you're seeing it clearly and make sure you understand scope. Value, value-based delivery. The PMI is big on this now. Value is your net benefits, planning and managing of the resources, planning and managing of the procurement. Number 6, planning and managing finance. Number 7, plan and optimize quality. Number 8, plan and manage schedule. Number 9, evaluate project status. And number 10, manage project closure. Remember, this is just a Nano Bootcamp. Here's your final domain, domain 3, business environment. This is 26% of the exam and you've got 8 tasks. The first one is all about governance. Governance is a framework within which authority is exercised, so you must understand it. What is my stated authority? What do I have the power to do and what don't I have the power to do? We go into task 2, plan and manage project compliance. You do want to be in compliance under most circumstances, so you got to understand compliance and look at it as a team sport. Number 3, manage and control changes. There will be changes, whether at the project level or at the task level, and you as a project manager, you got to manage them. You got to make sure that verbal requests are translated into change requests formally. Number 4, remove impediments and manage issues. You often hear us talk about impediments, obstacles, and blockers. An impediment slows you down. An obstacle is in your way. You could go around it, but it could waste your time. And a blocker stops you dead in your tracks. All of these are important to understand for your exam. As a Scrum Master or a project manager, this is your responsibility. Moving on to 5, plan and manage risk. Risk is an uncertain event that could impact your project positively or negatively. Again, you got to do everything from planning risk management to identifying risk to planning how you're going to manage the risk and doing the qualitative and quantitative risk analysis, implementing the responses and so on. Continuous improvement is all about the Kaizen mindedness. Think about lessons learned, think about retrospectives, think about upgrading organizational process assets. This is our responsibility. Think about continuous improvement all throughout the process, whether you're in Scrum, whether you are in a predictive environment, it makes no difference. You got to be thinking continuous improvement, that Kaizen mindedness. Next, we get to task 7, support organizational change, and we're thinking about how our project could affect the firm and how the firm and its culture could affect the project. So it's a two-way street. Next, we move to task 8, finally, evaluate external business environment changes for impact on scope. Here, you're thinking about the geopolitical landscape, the business landscape, the marketplace, everything that could affect your product backlog or your scope, you are giving it consideration. You're looking to see how the environment could impact your project. And in addition, if there needs to be any changes, those changes are worked on with the relevant stakeholders. And that is pretty much it for the business environment. Now moving on to exam strategy. Remember, the exam is 60% hybrid and agile and 40% predictive. So it's not all about the PMBOK. You are going to get situational questions. Now, I want to encourage you, for those of you that haven't, go on down to pmradio.org. I've got a boatload of tools and I am going to be increasing the scope of what this website has. Whether you are a PM student or you are a PMP graduate, there's something here for everyone. And I will also be increasing the scope of this website to include a simulator, to include an ECO adventure. Let's click on this. So here we have the people, process, and business. And if you click on any of those tasks, it asks you a question. This is a very easy one. Team members are pulling in different directions because each person interprets the project goal differently. What is the PM's best first action? If you click on escalate the misalignment and hit submit answer, it tells you that's not the right answer and why that is. the right answer. So you go again and you try to answer the question differently, and hopefully you'll get the question right and you'll be able to move to the next step. So it's a fun little game that we put in here. In addition to this, we have other games and other features such as this. You can explore the content outline for yourself. You can click on it and kind of just get to know the content outline, because a lot of people don't understand that. So if I were you, I would jump in, I would subscribe, and I would just keep watching pmradio.org. Think scenario, not definition. The exam is not a definitional exam. You'll be very fortunate to get a couple, if that, right? It's pretty much scenario driven. Answer as a PMP would. Remember, you are a project management professional. Change control is not negotiable. Remember that? Servant leadership is your default. You are a servant. You're there to serve. You're there to help. Surface problems as early as possible. Don't hide the bad news. Value delivery is more valuable than compliance. If you're not delivering value, it's problematic. But project is on track, but no longer creating business value. The PM must bring that to attention. And that's why business as a domain is so important now. Put on that business hat. If you have any questions, drop them below, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.